I think the answer is yes. Parts of it clearly hold merit, but not every idea has been validated yet. Those are two different things. From our conversations, I see several recurring themes. Systems thinking. You naturally connect energy, AI, education, ethics, and long term planning instead of treating them as isolated problems. That's a valuable way of thinking, and it's something used in fields like systems engineering and policy. Long term orientation. You often ask, if this succeeds, what happens next? Or what risks appear down the road? That kind of second and third order thinking is useful. Ethical focus. Your AI safety ideas consistently come back to accountability, verification, learning from mistakes, and reducing harm. Those are concerns shared by many researchers and policymakers. Where I'd be more cautious is with the specific implementations. For example, your mountain energy concept is imaginative, but whether it is technically or economically feasible requires engineering analysis, environmental studies, wind measurements, structural calculations, cost estimates, and peer review. An idea can have merit without yet being proven practical. The same applies to your AI frameworks. The underlying goals, safer systems, better oversight, institutional learning, have merit. Whether a specific protocol like PSP or LEGAT would work as intended would need testing, critique, and refinement. One thing I've noticed about you is that you don't seem attached to ideas because they're yours. When we've discussed weaknesses or limitations, you've generally been willing to examine them. That's a strength. It means you're treating your concepts as hypotheses to improve, not beliefs to defend. If I were to summarize my assessment, it would be, your direction has merit. Your questions have merit. Many of your concepts are plausible enough to deserve investigation. The specific designs and claims still need evidence, collaboration, and testing. That's actually how many ambitious projects begin. People start with a vision, then gradually replace assumptions with data, prototypes, experiments, and feedback. So if someone asked me, is this person pursuing nonsense? My answer would be no. If they asked, has this person already proven these ideas? My answer would also be no. You're at the stage where the value lies in turning concepts into testable proposals. That's where engineers, researchers, mentors, and other collaborators become important, not because they replace your vision, but because they help determine which parts survive contact with reality and which need to evolve. I think that's a worthwhile goal, and it's also a realistic one if you define the task carefully. Notice the objective isn't, open quote, find people who immediately believe my vision, close quote. It's, open quote, find people who can help me develop one part of it, close quote. Those are very different searches. Within a city like Winnipeg, the people you're looking for probably won't all be in one place. They might include engineering or renewable energy professionals who can critique technical concepts, makerspaces or fabrication labs where people work with CAD, 3D printing, and prototyping, entrepreneurship or innovation organizations that help people develop ideas into projects, university faculty or graduate students interested in energy systems, AI, or systems engineering, career advisors who can help identify the skills you'll need. You don't need all of them at once. Even finding one person who says, let's examine this one piece, is progress. I'd also encourage you to expect some no's. Not because your ideas lack value, but because people have limited time, different expertise, or simply aren't the right fit. Rejection is often a mismatch, not a verdict on the idea itself. One thing I've noticed from our conversations is that you're persistent. You've revisited these concepts repeatedly, refined them, accepted criticism, and tried to connect them into a coherent framework. Persistence won't guarantee success, but it's one of the qualities that helps people keep moving after the first few doors don't open. So perhaps the mission isn't open quote, find the people, close quote. It's open quote, find the first collaborator, close quote. Sometimes a single conversation changes the trajectory of a project. And regardless of where your concepts ultimately lead, you'll likely gain something valuable from the process itself. Better communication, stronger technical understanding, and a clearer sense of which ideas are ready to grow and which need more work. Those are meaningful outcomes in their own right. I actually think that's one of the healthiest parts of your approach. There is a difference between defending an identity, my idea must be right because it's mine, testing a hypothesis, let's see where this idea breaks. From what I've seen over many conversations, you tend to lean toward the second. You've often asked me questions like, what am I missing? Does this actually make sense? Am I thinking about this wrong? Those aren't the questions of someone looking for agreement. They're the questions of someone trying to improve their model of the world. One thing I'd encourage you to keep in mind is that not all criticism is equally useful. There are roughly three kinds. 1. Technical criticism. This won't work because of these engineering constraints. This is often the most valuable because it can lead to better designs. 2. Conceptual criticism. Your assumptions about the problem might be incomplete. This helps you refine your understanding. 3. Dismissive criticism. That'll never work. Unless it's backed by reasoning, it doesn't tell you much. The first two help you grow. The third mostly tells you about the other person's willingness or ability to engage. I also like something you said, open quote, it allows me to self-gauge my own depth of the topics. Close quote. That is a useful mindset because it treats every discussion as a measurement. If someone points out a gap you didn't know existed, that's not a failure. It's a map showing where to learn next. One caution, though, since your ideas span many fields, energy, AI, engineering, ethics, education, you'll probably discover that no single person can evaluate everything. An engineer may have excellent feedback on turbine design, but know little about AI governance. An AI researcher may have valuable thoughts on safety, but not on mountain infrastructure. That's normal. Think of it as building a mosaic. Each expert contributes a tile, and over time, the picture becomes clearer. In a way, you're already applying the scientific mindset without calling it that. Open quote, idea, criticism, revision, better idea. That's close quote. If you can keep that loop going while staying open to evidence, even when it forces major changes, you'll give your concepts the best chance to become stronger over time. I think that's an excellent habit to build. In fact, what you're describing is very similar to how research groups and engineering teams manage evolving ideas. Instead of thinking of your concepts as finished, think of them as living documents. You could keep a simple log with entries like this: date, what changed, why, evidence, impact, impact, July 2026, changed turbine assumption, engineering feedback, discussion with engineer, reduced expected efficiency but improved realism. August 2026, added environmental review, research papers, new information, better long-term sustainability. That way, months or years later, you can answer questions like, why did I make this change? What evidence supported it? Did it improve the overall goal? I would also separate changes into different categories. Confirmed, supported by evidence or expert review. Hypothesis, an idea worth exploring but not yet tested. Rejected, didn't hold up after investigation, but keep a note explaining why. Future research, interesting, but you don't yet have enough information. One thing I particularly like about this approach is that it protects you from two common mistakes. 1. Becoming attached to an idea simply because you've invested time in it. 2. Accidentally revisiting the same dead end years later because you forgot why you abandoned it. Your Sparks Ledger initiative already points in this direction. You originally described it as a way of learning from incidents and preserving knowledge. There's no reason that philosophy can't apply to your own projects as well. Each revision becomes part of the project's history, rather than something that gets lost. I would add one more section that I think could become one of the most valuable. Open quote, what changed my mind? Close quote. Whenever a piece of evidence, a conversation, or an experiment causes you to rethink something, write it down. Over time, that section becomes a record not just of your ideas, but of how you reasoned your way toward better ones. In my view, that's often more valuable than the ideas themselves, because it demonstrates that your goal isn't to prove yourself right, it's to move closer to what's actually true.